I'd like to activate and empower each of you in here to utilize this way of thinking to create new workflows using your existing software and technology. This right here is a K-12 building down in Austin, Texas. About 5 years after we turned this building over, there were some unforeseen challenges, mainly drainage issues due to soil movement. The only thing we had to work with were traditional survey methods, total station, GPS. We'd have to send a crew out there and spend 2, 3, sometimes 4 days on site collecting point after point. While that method was accurate, it lacked a lot of detail, trying to find all the areas that were holding water, how much water was it holding, how is the water going to get out of this certain area, how are we going to fix it, manually analyzing, until finally came across Propeller Aero, drone imaging processing software. It can create highly accurate surface models from the drone images. What this essentially means is that with just a 20 to 30 minute drone flight, I can capture everything I need on site and combine it with the easily accessible analytics from InfoDrainage. Well, let me tell you, our results were nothing short of fantastic. A 2 to 3 day process condensed to 1 hour. Imagine what that can do for your field crews. The InfoDrainage plugin for Civil 3D really showed its worth. Within a couple of minutes, we were able to run Deluge and accurately pinpoint all of the problem areas across the site. That's pretty impressive in my book. With Propeller's unlimited sharing capability, we were able to instantaneously transmit this to the design team. Now, they have everything they need. They can download this information directly from the site. There goes all of our issues with trying to transmit mass amounts of data. Sometimes the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. When we combine the strengths of different types of software and technology, we can create powerful new workflows and unlock the true potential of our technology. Afternoon, everyone. Hope we're all having a good week, learning a lot. I know that I'm probably going to need all of next week just to kind of filter through everything I've learned over the past few days. So I'm going to make this short and sweet, and hopefully no one falls asleep. Sometimes the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. This quote perfectly sums up what I want to share with you today. My name is Michael Clark, and I lead the field engineering department at Rogers O'Brien. One of my greatest passions is trying to innovate the survey and layout process. And today, I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be up here and share with you about the power of innovative thinking and how when we combine the strengths of different types of software and technology, we can create powerful new workflows and unlock the true potential of our technology. I'm going to share with you one of our more recent success stories that we've had utilizing this workflow. This right here is a K-12 building down in Austin, Texas. Now, when we completed this building, everything was installed per the contract drawings and worked as designed, like it should. However, about 5 years after we turned this building over, there were some few unforeseen challenges, mainly drainage issues due to soil movement. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but this is sometimes a fairly common issue down in Texas just because of the high amounts of soil, or high amounts of clay we have in our soil. I mean, I've been on several projects that have had very similar issues like this. One in particular was out in Fort Worth about 7 years ago. And same thing, holding water, ADA compliance issues just because soil moved, concrete on top of it moved with it. Well, back then, the only thing we had to work with were traditional survey methods, total station, GPS, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, the most polite way to say is it was a pain to do data collection this way because we'd have to send a crew out there and spend 2, 3, sometimes 4 days on site collecting point after point after point. Very, very time consuming, and labor intensive. And then, after all of that, we still had to bring all that information, hundreds, sometimes thousands of points back into the office, upload it into Civil 3D just to create a surface design. And I will be honest with you right now, while that method was accurate, it lacked a lot of detail due to the fact that there is significant spacing in between the points that you collect. Then, once we would have that surface model, what would we do with it? You'd have to manually sit there and sift through that information, through the contours, trying to find all the areas that were holding water, how much water was it holding, how is the water going to get out of this certain area, how are we going to fix it? A lot of manually analyzing the data. Not fun. So fast forward to a year ago when this school approached us about all the issues they were having with their, water flowing back into the building, water ponding in certain areas, sidewalks looking like they're out of kilter. I mean, I was just dreading doing this. But we have a commitment as a premier builder in Texas to help our clients, whether we're under contract with them or not. That's just something that we make a commitment to as a premier builder. So guess who was left up to trying to decide how we can do this for as little money and as fast as possible without sacrificing quality? Yeah, that's right. So I just went back and I'm like, man, how are we going to do this? I just started going back and looking through some of the technology that we just brought on board, started looking at, until finally came across Propeller Aero. This is a relatively new drone imaging processing software that we'd just begun to pilot. No pun intended on that one. So this platform was primarily used for dirt surveying by, I'm sure everyone here's seen it before, stitching together aerial photographs. But where this one differs is it can create highly accurate surface models from the drone images and then process that model to your local coordinate system. What this essentially means is that with just a 20 to 30 minute drone flight, I can capture everything I need on site. 20, 30 minutes, that's it. I can capture everything from contours to sidewalks, buildings, all that vital surface information, and then process it to the coordinate system in the contract documents. Sure, by now you can all realize why this kind of jumped to my forethought for our data collection methods on this school project. But I'll tell you right now, there's always a but. I still needed a way to analyze this vast amount of data into something that can be used by a design team. I really wrecked my head on this one because I couldn't think of anything. That is, until I went and sat down with our director of VDC, Chris Patton, who's also a fellow leader in our innovation group with me. And we sat down and went over kind of what the issues were, what we were trying to find. And that is he introduced InfoDrainage. At the time, this was a relatively new program by Autodesk, or in the Autodesk library, so to speak. We looked at it, did some research on it, and while this platform was originally designed for creating storm drainage systems by allowing users to easily manipulate drainage elements in a given surface design. Basically, how this works is with just a click of a button, you can add anything from storm pipe, inlets, area drains, even entire retention systems. And then run it through a simulated rain event, which they call deluge, to see if that system works as designed and meets local standards and specifications. Now, it was deluge that really caught my attention and made me think of using it for this school project. Now, by this time, we already had a workflow kind of coming together, using the data capture capabilities of Propeller Aero and combining it with the easily accessible analytics from InfoDrainage. So what was left? Taking out the field and trying out our new workflow and seeing how it worked. That's always the scary part. Well, let me tell you, our results were nothing short of fantastic. In just 1 hour on site, 1 hour, we were able to set ground control and capture all the data we needed using the drone. I know everyone's been talking about ROIs and all that fun stuff. Think about that. A 2 to 3 day process condensed to 1 hour. Imagine what that can do for your field crews. And then once it's processed through Propeller, it was just a simple click of a button, export out their surface model, and then put it into Civil 3D. At that point, the InfoDrainage plugin for Civil 3D really showed its worth. Within a couple of minutes, we were able to run deluge and accurately pinpoint all of the problem areas across the site. That's pretty impressive in my book. Not only did it show us where the water was going to collect and how much it was going to collect, it also showed us a very powerful tool, how the water flowed across the entire site. What this enabled us to do was ensure that by fixing one area on this site, we didn't adversely affect anything else down the line. Because I'm sure anyone who's ever had to do work like this, sometimes you can wind up chasing your tail around a job site, fixing areas, fixing concrete, just to find out that, oh man, we fixed this one area, but now it's lower than this other area over here and we're collecting water over here. This solved that problem for us. But the synergy between these two programs didn't stop with that. Since Propeller processed this on a local coordinate system, it created a level of interoperability with the two programs and their abilities to import and export DXF and XML files. Everything we pulled out of InfoDrainage, all the heat maps, all the data analytics, was able to go right back into Propeller, combining all the information with the real-life drone images. Something we've often faced when dealing with design models and CAD files especially coming out of Civil 3D, is context. When you're looking at line work, you really have very little context. By doing this, right there, okay, that's my school entrance. There's a canopy there, holding water at the canopy. And it's not just oh yeah, there's some lines. Yeah, I think that's the edge of building. Or I'm holding water over here. What is this? Oh, well, there's an area drain there. It's a middle of a park of a playground. Cool. All right, moving on. So now we're able to provide context to all of our information. Then, with Propeller's unlimited sharing capability, meaning I can share this with anyone I want to as long as they have an email address, we were able to instantaneously transmit this to the design team. Now, they have everything they need. They can download this information directly from the site. There goes all of our issues with trying to transmit mass amounts of data between organizations. Done. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up right now and say, in conclusion, this workflow truly epitomizes the power of innovative thinking by exemplifying innovation, resourcefulness, but most importantly, collaboration. That's something that we don't really, come across, or doesn't really get a whole lot of light in our industry. No one wants to collaborate, or if we do collaborate, it's very hush-hush. This workflow has led us to reevaluate how we utilize our current technology and find ways to optimize and amplify its potential through intelligent integration. Someone at our company once told me, hey, sometimes you just got to step back and try to connect the dots. Couldn't put it more simply. When all of y'all return home, tomorrow or this weekend or whenever y'all going home, I want y'all to remember this quote, because I'd like to activate and empower each of you in here to utilize this way of thinking to create new workflows using your existing software and technology. I also want you to remember that this way of thinking doesn't just apply to technology, but to all of us in here as individuals. Everyone in this room is a professional in their own field. And by collaborating with others within your company and without, we can achieve outcomes greater than the sum of our individual contributions. I'm gonna leave you with one final quote that I've heard up here yesterday and I've heard a couple of times, but it's a quote that my boss and our chief innovation officer say after every single meeting that I think applies here. If you want to go quick, go alone. But if you want to go far, you must go together. Thank you for your time and attention. If any of y'all would like to read more about the case study written by Autodesk earlier this year on this case study, please feel free to follow this QR code. And here are 2 links to the 2 platforms that we talked about, InfoDrainage and Propeller Aero. Highly recommend you check them out. Let's go build the future together, all right? Thank you again.